Ready? 3. Oh, you're already going. Boom. We're live.
We are live.
Oh, this sauna. God. I can't wait for winter, dude. I'm tired of sweating. The other day, what was it? Tuesday? I can't remember. It was like some kind of cardio workout. I didn't stop sweating, like nonstop. Or they did the noon class. I can't stop sweating. Even at nighttime.
It's really hot.
It's the humidity.
It's also terrible because we can't record with any air on.
I know.
Because the microphone will pick it up.
54% humidity in here. Ugh. It's gross. But anyway, let's get going so we could turn that AC back on.
Yeah.
This week, I guess we were going to go over some Q&A. First, I guess we'll go over what you found, what questions you got asked.
Well, a lot of it is perfect because this Sunday we're gonna go over shoulder steps. We got a lot of shoulder questions.
Yeah.
And then like injury related questions, as in like, what do you do when you get injured?
Okay.
At least with FixFit, right? Like, I hurt my elbow or I hurt my knee. What do I do?
Yeah, that's I guess some of the questions I got, and we can go into specifics later. But my questions were specific to a knee and a lower back. So.
Well, let's talk about the smaller injuries first, because I think there's from what we see as like a gym, right? What bugs Andrea and I, it's just kind of like the mindset of people when they're training.
Yeah.
It's like, or I heard that from yesterday, someone's like, they don't want to start working out or do this because they have like elbow tendonitis.
Right.
Or if they like strain their calf, or they strain their bicep.
Yeah.
And then what they're told to do wherever they go to is usually like, I should take like 6 to 8 weeks off.
Yeah, or if you Google it, tendonitis, number one treatment is usually rest.
But like, how, number one, we know now, hopefully you guys have been following along, that resting it won't fix what caused it in the first place.
Sure.
If you have elbow tendonitis, let's say, if you rest it, the inflammation goes down because it's an itis, right? It's inflammation. Right. But what was causing it in the first place? So you can rest 6 to 8 weeks. So that's not the problem to us. Like, yeah, you rested, you'll be in less pain, that's fine. But what happens to the rest of your body, your fitness, your health?
Right.
It's like you're not going to be able to, you're going to lose everything because you were told, or maybe people are just scared, I guess, because they're like, don't move.
Yeah,
don't do anything.
I think a common theme on our podcast is always a label. They want to be labeled something. So if they get labeled elbow tendonitis, you have to be pragmatic and think to yourself, I want to break that down. What does that mean? The elbow is just a hinge joint that does flexion and extension, right? It rotates a little bit like this, but like if that elbow has a tendon that is inflamed, that's what elbow tendonitis is, right? But what tendon is it, and where is it coming from? And what caused it? Because it's just obviously overworked, right? So it's caused inflammation. But if I have a patient that's just like, I have that, like, how are we gonna fix this? It's like you look up the chain, you look at the tricep, you look at the bicep, but it's like, I have bicep tendonitis. It's like, what if you have both? Then what? You just gotta not use your whole left arm, like. So it's.
I explain to people too. It's like, since we're on the elbow thing, it's. If you come in and you're like, I'm told not to use it or exercise for 6 to 8 weeks, like you were saying, it's like, what, then don't move?
Yeah.
I was like, you still have to drive. You still have to lift your kids. You still have to pick up shit. You still have to carry.
You still got to go to work.
You still got to go to work.
Yeah.
So you're still moving your fucking elbow.
Yeah.
You're not in a cast.
Right.
So how is this 6 to 8 weeks thing going to accelerate or actually fix the problem? And it's not.
Right.
And it's so bizarre that this day and age still, currently, that's like the prescription, right? It's like you label it and then you go to, if it's sciatica or if it's this planner, and then they give you that timeline of, if you rest 4 to 8 weeks, 3 to 6 months, whatever, like that's all they get.
Yeah.
And then if you get it, like the PT drills, if they go down that route, it's the same thing. They're trying to get that joint to move full range of motion without pain.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. But again, no assessments in terms of what caused it in the first place.
Yeah, so imagine a patient of mine right now is having headaches. So it's like, how do you get labeled with that? I have headaches. Like, it's not like a condition, you know? It's like you have tension headaches. That's a state of living. So it's like PT's telling her to shrug her shoulders around and roll them. Yeah. And I'm like, so shrug your upper traps and roll them around. And I'm like, why? Like, just ask that all the time. If you're injured, there's always going to be, that's a good topic. And I've listened to podcasts on this before, because there's an oh shit moment every time. Like, let's say you're doing a bunch of linked deadlifts and you're like, oh, I strained my back, something's grabbing, and you drop the weight. There's an oh shit moment. Then you have to self-diagnose yourself really quickly. Am I okay? Can I keep going? Should I stop?
Yeah.
Right? So chances are, if you're in the gym and your adrenaline's going and you're in the middle of a workout, you're going to keep going, and you either push until you can't go anymore, and you say, I really fucked up my back, I need to stop, or I have to like go home and start taking care of this, or you completely stop the workout, and then it's like, oh God, this is a huge problem. It's getting worse, and it's getting, it's compounding. So you have to self-assess yourself first and say, should I stop this workout because it's really, really bad, or should I stop and think? Because what I do in a workout now, which I think is different, instead of going like, oh shit, that trap is tweaking, and it hurts every time I do this rep, I stop and think, is this pec on? Is this teres on? Am I driving my big toe off the ground? Like, all that kind of stuff. I do self-assessment quick, like my check stops.
Yeah.
I know where all my weak points are at, and I double check those in the middle of the workout. And whether or not that's actually, I don't know if that doesn't fix it, because I could still get injured and get muscle strain, but I don't get ligament strain that way.
I think that's the end game, like during the workout, during your activity, that's how you apply the FixFit model or principle, Mm-hmm. I think what we want to change is the whole, like what you said, there's that oh shit, or the shock of feeling pain. Mm-hmm. When people feel joint pain, not like conditioning or muscle fatigue burn, like a pump, then it freaks them out. And then it's like, they stop everything. Oh my gosh, I felt something in my shoulder or in my neck. And instead of going down that route, in that rabbit hole, like, fuck, I fucked something up. Something's wrong. It's like, you're not helping anything.
No.
It's already happened. You're doing your 50 burpees, you're bench pressing, you're hiking, and something's already in pain.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like, you have that, like what you talked about. Okay, let's say you're doing a big set of bench and you got 5 sets, and in the third set, you kind of tweak something.
Get a shoulder impingement.
Yeah, and it's like, man, there's a sharp pain in the front.
Yeah.
You can freak out and just like start Googling shit or whatever, and just like, okay, I'm done today. I'm done. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, it's probably going to hurt or get tight. But if it's usually just some discomfort, that means you're out of, the mechanics weren't right on those reps that you did. So if you can just go right away to a quick assessment where you're like, if you fire the right muscles and continue to bench, more often than not, that goes away because you fixed the problem that caused it in the first place.
Right.
You were benching and you shrugged up, the elbow flared out early, And then so it's not as scary anymore, because it's like, once you know that what was causing it and you're able to self-assess and to fix it mid-set, mid-workout. It's like when people do a lot of burpees and they start getting like a front shoulder pain. I was like, well, when you're coming down, don't have your shoulders roll forward and you shrug up.
Right.
You're absorbing all your body weight when you kick out, and then it's going right in the front of the shoulder.
Yep.
And then we get them to kind of pull the shoulder down, use their pecs more, keep their core tighter. It goes away, and then they're not as scared, and they can finish the workout.
We could use Calcium as a very good example, because like you were saying, it's comparable to Murph, which we did a whole episode on pre and post, pre-prep, post-recovery, because it's so bad. Calcium is way worse than that. And if you had anybody in the gym sign up for Calcium or Murph again, they would all do Murph twice.
Yeah, Calcium is the hardest workout.
So for people that are listening and don't know, Calcium's, go ahead and explain it.
It's 100 thrusters at 135 pounds and 95 pounds for women. And then the kicker is every single minute you have to do 5 burpees. So even if you wanted to take a minute off, you still have to do your 5 burpees. That's why it's so scary, because the burpees keep coming. So you do your 5 burpees, 3, 2, 1, go. You do your 5 burpees, and then with the remaining time in the minute, you accumulate as many thrusters as you can.
And this should be done in 20 to 25 minutes.
It ranges. Well, most people don't do it RX in general.
No, most people don't even RX it. Most people are in that 30-minute range or beyond.
Yeah.
Right? it ends up being 150 burpees, maybe more.
At least. It depends. Yeah, it depends
Plus
how long
100
you go.
thrusters, right? So
there's a lot of wear and tear because it's the thing we like to do. We train for this.
Right.
In terms of it being, there's more thrusters and burpees. DJ's really good. He programs her gym to make sure people get the proper training for this like more event workout.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like I was talking to Rojo, one of the members at CrossFit Sun. I want to label this like Cal Sue's like the CrossFit marathon.
Sure.
So you could train all day for a marathon, but the mileage going through that event,
you're gonna be sore. Yeah.
You're gonna be sore. Yeah. There's no amount of mechanics, PT drills, FixFit, mobility that you can do to get out of a marathon.
And that's
unscathed,
why we did a whole episode on Murph. We could, next time Cal Sue comes up, we should a whole week, same thing. Like, hey guys, you want to listen to our podcast for the pre and the post?
Yeah, like a bigger workout.
Because I think we did it in November. Nobody finished it. We all got capped around 30 minutes. Not even RX at like 95 pounds. I know a lot of us were getting capped on that. And this time we were like, literally members talking about anxiety and stomach aches and people freaking out during the workout, during the day. I was joking, but I was like, someone said in the gym, like we said on Thursday night, hey, Cal Sue's next Tuesday. I saw it online. I went, why would you do that?
Why would you tell me?
Did you fucking tell me that? I just ruined my whole weekend. And I'm dead serious. I thought about it. Like there was a couple times, I think, because we were drinking on Sunday at a pool, and I was like, I'm dehydrating myself. I got to hydrate so well tomorrow on Monday because Tuesday is Cal Sue at night, and I have a full day of work. I was like, it gave me a little low-level anxiety. I said it was like test day.
It is.
It felt like an exam.
It's exactly test day, and that's what we like to do. Things that are a little more challenging.
Right.
I mean, why do you do these things? Why do people run, marathons, half marathons?
And then patients that I see that do run halves, and I just talked to someone today that's just been running a lot, and she was just like, this calf, and like behind my knee, and I was like, when's the last time you got a massage? Like, when's the last time someone just TLC'd that thing? You know, because she's doing a lot of FixFit movements that I give her. She's weightlifting, yoga, great. But I'm like, if someone hasn't just dug that out, like I guarantee you when you come out of that massage session, you're going to go, what the hell? How many miles did I just put on this brake pad and tire, and I didn't get them rotated, and I didn't get new brake pads? You know what I mean?
That's one thing too, is when I work with people, when they're injured, right, they come to me, and then the vibe I get is that they're shocked that these injuries happen.
Right.
They're like, man, I've been running for the last 20 years.
My body eventually breaks down when I'm getting old.
Yeah, or they don't even realize that we're like, your knee, let's say the person you just used, I don't know who it is, but it's a similar case. It could be like,
Yeah, no races for this person either. Just running a lot.
Have you thought about, maybe you've been running for 10, 20, 30 years. Like, you should probably take care of the body.
Right.
Like, but when injuries happen or hot spots happen, like if you have, your plantar flares up or the Achilles tendonitis flares up, like they act like they don't know where it came from.
Yeah, and that's one where
mileage happens. You can't avoid that.
I think some of the questions they posted to you on the Q&A was shoulder impingement. So now your session on Sunday is going to be focusing on that. But what's funny is that those strained upper trap, like those happen over time, right? And then maybe one workout will flare it up and you don't recover well from it, like a Cal Sue, but those are still compounded over time, so you never have an oh shit moment on those things. So flashback to that Cal Sue, I was really thinking about during the warm-up how we were doing like these sandbag squats, driving through our big toes, pulling in our lats on the thruster, right? So like halfway through when you start blacking out on that workout, that's where I kept checking. And it helped, one, take your mind off of that number that you're trying to get to. But it was just nice to go like, oh, this left, mine was a problem. I was like, my left lat ain't doing shit. Because I was having trouble turning it on before the workout. Yeah. So like, this isn't going to be good. I could feel my left trap working the whole time, but I wasn't ever like, oh shit, I got to drop the bar. It's pinching, it's sharp. There's a ligament in my shoulder getting ripped apart. I was just like, it's muscle and this sucks. Yeah. And this is going to suck tomorrow. And I'm glad you're on my right. I can't fucking look left. I got robot neck still, even with treatment. So
that's the thing though, is like you didn't take you did the workout, you're fine, you slept, and then you woke up and it was like
Woke up with robot neck.
And that's expected. It's like someone does a marathon.
Right.
They might feel okay. They might have some hot spots, a little joint pain. But then when they wake up, I guarantee you for that next month and next week, they're going to be wrecked.
Right.
And then, again, if you're shocked or you have that, oh shit, like, oh my gosh, I think something's wrong, you want to have that, like, basic knowledge where you're like, okay, it's just because your upper trap kind of seized up. You're fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to go like, oh, I think I should go take 6 to 8 weeks off. Like,
right.
Okay, I shouldn't go in the gym for the next couple weeks. Let this thing kind of settle.
And what I do think is nice is that I was able to do those system checks on myself, you know?
Yeah.
In the middle of chaos, in the middle of like literally not even knowing where I was. I don't know if I'm going to finish this kind of feeling, you know, and I would be able to check that. And I woke up the next day with like, I can move my whole shoulder around, so that's good. I can go to work today.
Yeah.
I have no headache, so no joints are sprained, but this muscle is definitely effed. Got massaged, got adjusted, emergency adjustment, which saved me for range of motion. It's been 2 days. I'm still having trouble fully turning to the left, and I've been to the gym every day since to work on things. So,
and I tell people, like, when they come in, it's actually like you kind of take the positive with the negative. Being injured, no one likes being injured. It sucks, and you know you get all
it's pain. It sucks.
Pain in the ass. You kind of get demoralized. You're kind of in that Debbie Downer phase. Like, I can't do what I want.
Right.
Why me? The woe's me shit, right? Why did it happen to me? Maybe I should stop lifting or whatever. But when I go through the assessment and they have those pain signals, to me, that's one of the tools you want to use for kind of doing that checklist on yourself. So what I mean is, like, if they have shoulder impingement and it's movement based, right? So if they move their arm in like a bench press or a push-up motion and they feel the pain, and I say that's good, you use that as your coach or your guide, because then you'll push your arms out without any weight standing, and it's like, oh, I feel it, you know, or that person feels it. Okay, now try it again. Pull the shoulders down, flex your obliques, your pec, and then try it again. And then the pain is gone, and then you know that it's a movement issue.
Right.
So when you're moving wrong, now you have immediate feedback because the overused muscles are aggravated. Mm-hmm. So then now when you're doing your band drills for your trap, it's like if you pull down and then you flare the teres and all that, and you can get more range of motion in your neck, then you know, okay, well, those muscles need more work, and then that trap needs more time to kind of release.
And that's what's it. And I'm not gonna lie, we talk about this shit every week. I live this with patients, and I'm like, I'm flaring my pec, my teres, my lats on. I went to the gym, did some lat pull downs, single arm, getting my lat to fire. I could cramp it, and I'm like, I could feel that range of motion, but as soon as I let go, it's still jammed, right? And it's like I have muscle strain that might take, you know, a good 7 days to go away.
But you're
like,
still able to do the full class and workout.
Yeah.
It didn't. You still were able to go to work. It's just understanding what's injured and how to work with it.
I had to assess myself and know, hey, if I could still turn on all these muscles, I know that this muscle strain isn't definitely in my trap and nowhere else, right? And it's in my neck, but a neck adjustment made me feel good. And it's like, if it's still jammed, even with a fresh range of motion adjustment after, it's like, it's definitely muscle. But I had to know to go through those steps with ever having a panic of like, oh shit, I better not go to work. I might have to call in sick tomorrow at work, or I might have to skip the gym for a week. You know, it's like, I think last night too was Thursday night at the gym, so it was definitely probably the worst feeling for everybody in terms of their glutes and their quads, and maybe even the shoulders too, for the day 2 since Calsu. I know some people were like, I don't even know if I want to go in today. It's so bad, you know? And we're like, a few of us were like rallied together, like, no, we got to go because it'll make you feel better. And like you were saying, like, we're not pushing intensity today. We're like practicing, we're moving, going through range of motion. And everybody was walking out of there like better spirits, it looked like too. Like everyone was like hanging out after, like we limped in and we definitely walked out upright.
You have to move to heal the injury faster.
Right.
And there's one of the main principles with the FixFit is that, let's say you are dealing with a strained upper trap. The only way to get that upper trap to not do everything, to let it like release quicker, you have to start firing those other muscles. And if you warm the body up at intensity, you could do like floor presses or do things that will get your trap to actually turn off. And then that way you're going to recover faster. If you rest, 3-4 days, the trap is, you're not really resting, because if your upper trap is strained, what are you doing while you're resting? You're still sitting in front of a computer. You're still driving. You're still texting. So you're still aggravating that upper trap. So it's actually better to move and to work out, at least with the right mechanics, to let it get better.
That's funny. I just told you that last night, that I was like, I got to go home before the gym for once, now that I live closer. And I was sitting on this chair right here watching TV with Marie, and I was like, this is feeling so good right now. Like, I don't even know if I want to go. And I was like, I'm going to get up and get some water right now and start getting ready and change my clothes and stuff. And I stood up and went, ugh, like to stand all the way up. And I was like, oh, I got to go now.
You got to go.
I got to go. Because I was like, this couch did feel great to sit on.
It's only going to get worse.
I was like, this shit's going to get real bad if I do that for another 3 hours or some shit, which would have been very easy to do. Just sit here, like, let's just keep binging this. Watching a serial killer show, dude. It's addicting stuff. Just plotting, learning, taking notes.
And Andrea loves those type of shows.
Dude, tell her to watch Mindhunter on Netflix. It is so good. We had watched 3 episodes last night because it was like near the end of the season.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh shit,
is it
cliffhanger.
Fiction?
Oh
is
shit,
it real? Like real, based on true stories, or is it kind of just?
Yeah, it's based off a book of these FBI agents that interviewed serial killers in prison. And they found out, like, they just tested it out, and then they're psychologists in the FBI, and they find out when they talk to them that they want it, like, they are narcissists, so they love to talk about themselves and go into detail on their killing and stuff. It's nuts. So they made a show on it last year, 2 years ago. It was great, and it just came back, and season 2 is even better, and it's based off real guys. It was so good, dude. We couldn't stop. It was 9 episodes, 9 hours long, basically 9 hours total, and we're done now. Good.
Perfect binge. Binge worthy.
Yeah, super binge worthy. But anyway, I'm glad I went to the gym and freaking moved a little bit, because it wasn't even like I was going in there I'm gonna get a pump today, like burn. It's like I gotta be able to survive and like hopefully make everything like just start firing right again.
To sum up the question of like what happens when you get injured, what should you do when you get injured? You have to start testing that movement that caused the injury.
Yeah,
because that's what
check your range of motion is good.
See what movement caused it. Because that's what I always have to do. That's what it takes a longer time for an assessment one-on-one and stuff, because I have to know what caused it. Like, what were you doing? And then now it's like, okay, which movement pattern, like whether it's like for the shoulder, let's say, is like doing a push-up, doing a press, doing a pull-up, like what actual movement causes the pain, and then you use that same movement pattern. Let's say you're doing a pull-up motion with your arm, pulling down, and then you feel the front of your shoulder light up. And then, okay, so we're going to use that as our baseline.
Right.
So for you, if you had a shoulder injury, then you're doing drills in that same pattern, that same motion, to try to be able to do the same pull-up without that lighting up.
Yeah.
So you do drills, like whether you're pulling on a band to get your lat to fire, you push down on a band, or just do it without weight, or do the anchor press. And then once you can get those muscles to fire, then you retest, try to get that pull-up motion again, and using the right muscles, then the pain should turn off. So you're going right into like fixing and assessing at the same time.
Yeah, what's interesting is that what I've always thought is interesting with FixFit is that you're assessing on the fly, right? Mm-hmm. With movement, which is, if any physical therapist or chiropractor you talk to, what you learn in school is active range of motion versus passive range of motion, right? So if I'm looking to my left right now and I like checking my active range, I kind of stop here and it's painful, okay? My passive range would be me laying flat on my back and my chiro friend turning my head all the way for me. Yeah. And I'm like, yep, it's about the same. Like, I get to the same restriction and it hurts. She's like, it's definitely joint and muscles all jacked up there, right? What we're doing is flex this pec, activate a teres, activate this whole chain, and now look, and I have increased active range of motion without pain.
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff, because now it's like, what do you even label that? That's active range, but with the right muscles on. Why am I getting more range of motion now?
I think a lot of that's misleading with the passive range. You get a lot of false readings or misdiagnosis, in my opinion.
Right.
Because a lot of the times people will come when I ask the same questions. What movement hurts the shoulder? Let's say, because that's what we're talking about, and then they'll like bring their elbow all the way up like a chicken wing motion.
Right.
Like, oh, that hurts it, and I was like,
when are you in that?
Yeah, great. Thanks for putting your shoulder fully out of position and trying to move it in an unfunctional, unnatural way. So of course we can go off of that, and I could bullshit off of, yeah, that hurts. Let's try to fix that. But then, I go explain to them, it's like, that's not the movement you're ever going to use anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go over the movement that caused the pain, or let's test something that's more functional, like the push-up. So you assess right away.
Right. You're assessing through range of motion.
You're not just looking for the pain doing some weird contortionist type of thing with your joint, You're
right.
Putting the arm way back or something like that. And
that's the thing is, if we're checking true range of my neck, it's flexion, extension, lateral flexion, left rotation, right rotation. Cool, but like, what if I put myself into that proper posture with those muscles on and then check it? It could be totally different for somebody. So same thing for your shoulder,
movement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're assessing through the range of motion, which is kind of a novel concept. Like, nobody can truly articulate what that means yet.
It's so ass backwards to take just the way your joints move,
right,
without movement itself.
Right, you're isolating each joint.
If you put your chin down, I don't even know what that's called for your neck.
Flexion.
Okay, that's flexion. Right, you put your chin down and they're testing it, and then what does that have to do with anything? If you're doing that because you're doing a heavy deadlift, now we're getting somewhere.
Right.
Now we can figure out, well, on this with your chin down, and then you strain your trap on a deadlift, then we have something to go off of. Not just because you can put your chin down and put your chin up while you're laying on a table.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's and then if you passively let somebody do it, it's just a way to tell you what joint is the one that we need to work on, as a provider. But what's interesting is that we don't need that. I mean, that could be used for the quick fix, but for the long-term fix, it's like you can't mix and match those.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, okay, I fixed your active and your passive range, Ian. Your active range is better now with time off since the injury and treatment. Congrats.
Like, nothing's guarded now.
Nothing's guarding that.
Took 6 weeks off.
Your passive range is good now too. Your discharge from my care, great. If I did Kalsu again, chances of it happening without ever going back and correcting the lat issue that I'm having on that left side, it's just got to tweak again.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what we're trying to articulate to people, is that those are two different things. One's for treatment, one's for fixing the way that you move. Yeah. And you could do both at the same time, technically.
That's why it's not like I'm going against whatever doctor's orders and stuff, right?
No, you should be working simultaneously with us, right?
You're like, okay, this help me figure out what the real issue is. For the 6 to 8 weeks that you're prescribing for me to not move, are you talking like my whole damn body?
Right.
Are you telling me to not move for what? You have to ask those questions to get a better, path of treatment. Right.
And that's what's lucky. That's what's lucky about coming towards my office and the providers that we've established in there, and some personal trainers like you and Erica that work with patients now are like, we're not going to freak out at the tiniest little injury anymore.
Injury should be expected,
right? Especially if you're training really, really hard.
It doesn't matter what you do. You don't even have to. You treat probably more patients that don't even work out.
Right.
You can be a desk jockey. You could be an accountant, an engineer, whatever. You could be a dentist. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of those in our gym, so we know that. Like, just the way that a dentist has to turn their body to get into
dental assistant,
dental assistant. Worse. Even a cake decorator, like we've had, they're still moving on a daily. So once an injury happens, that is going to affect quality of life. Like, they have to take days off,
right? And
they can't work anymore. Like,
I think
they go to the standard care. The only two doors they have, either rest, which is not you can't, because that's your livelihood, it's your work, and the other one is you probably have to do some acute treatment where it's like shots, pills. It's like,
here's the thing is, like, that's what I'm saying. If you come see our providers and our team, we're telling you we are doing that pain relief, but we're also telling you what you need to do for the active side to keep it moving and correct it, right?
Got it.
Because
it's like you have to do both at the same time.
you have to do both at the same time. But it's very easy to get it misconstrued, because here's another example. I got that lady that I told you is doing those rolling her shoulders around, and she has headaches. Mm-hmm. She's seeing me, and she's seeing acupuncture with Brittany, right? And also going to physical therapy for, I got a referral, might as well go check it out. And she tells the physical therapist, this isn't working. Like, I think acupuncture and chiro are helping me more. And it's like, what she's compartmentalizing is that chiro and acupuncture she's associating with pain relief. But what she's missing right now, and she's using the physical therapist for movement. What she's missing is that what I've been asking for day one is movement.
Yep.
Yes, the adjustments create movement, but I've also made you drink more water, walk more, take more frequent breaks. Brittany's having you sleep differently. Same thing. She's preaching hydration and rest and breaks from sitting, and we're encouraging her to get a standing desk. Like, that's all movement stuff too. It's just not the physical therapist scope.
Yeah.
So the physical therapist is trying to take care of her movement issue with these shoulder roll exercises and shoulder blade pinches that aren't helping because there's so much blocking it. And then it's like she's thinking to herself, I have these 3 providers talking to me. Which one do I pick?
Yeah.
We should all be working together. PT should be saying, like, yeah, keep going to chiro and acupuncture for your pain relief, but these are the exercises I'm trying to get you to do for life. But she can't articulate it good enough because those exercises aren't helping.
Maybe that's the issue right now with physical therapy, is that they're trying to do both at the same time, but yet they're really not doing both.
Right.
Because, like, you go to a PT with, let's say,
they have their
planner.
Their pain relief model is not good.
So then they go and they do everything they can. They'll give you the stretches.
Yep.
And then the stretches are there to relieve the pain.
Foam roller,
because something's angry. Let's say your calf is angry, so they tell you to stretch it or roll it out. So that's the pain model, the treatment.
And they do massage too a lot.
And so they have that, which is still pain. And then they give you a booklet of exercises that's supposed to be for movement.
Yeah.
And this is, I truly believe this is the problem with that structure. Because a lot of the pain relief stuff, I'm not going to argue if that works or doesn't. That probably does make them feel better. But when they go into the second phase of it, which is now the movement part with these exercises, it's still not applying it to movement. They're just doing exercises for the sake of doing exercises.
Well, I think it brings us back to the episode we've talked about with Robin, is where it started, was we're trying to bring somebody from pain to suboptimal.
Yeah.
Right?
They're going from pain to function, and we're going function to optimal.
We're going from functional, let's say you have the person that messaged you, my right upper trap strained, and it's a 7 out of 10 in pain. Okay, let's say. But I have full range of motion in my shoulder, just that upper trap hurts. If you go talk to a PT, they're going to stretch that tight upper trap. They're going to massage it. They're going to do joint mobilization around that area. That's not a good pain relief model because it just doesn't relieve acute pain, right? So they're just jumping from that pain to optimal. They're missing that suboptimal phase of, like, you got to break it down so the joint can so they have their range of motion, and then do the more optimal exercise that you were trying to jump them into.
Yeah.
They have to start with square one, which is 7 out of 10 pain, like we see with people. But it's like they're so blocked and guarded that they don't know how to get it to calm down. Like, here's some muscle stim and heat and ice. And it's like, those things are so temporary, like minutes of temporary.
Yeah.
And it's like you're jumping the gun with that. But I guess we save that for another episode, because that has been a topic that we've wanted to talk about for a long time. But I think that the people that message on here have gone to physical therapists before, and that's why they're asking us, like, what happens when I injure myself? What can I do with a FixFit model? Because we get people moving, like somebody could blow up their back, and we would be like, get on the ground and start doing oblique openers before assessment.
But then again, it doesn't end there. And I made a post about this the other day. It's
good point.
We have to stop looking at the body or stop looking at injuries from that physical therapy lens,
Yeah.
And this is what we've done in the past too, even from the strong fit principles. It's like, oh shit, your lat doesn't fire, it's inhibited, it's deficient, you know. Let's get your lat to fire. So guess what, you go Google or you figure it out and you do all the traditional lat building
lat pull down,
lat
row,
pull down, pull-ups, row, bent over row, Pendlay rows, whatever you can. What we found is, yes, my lats actually physically got bigger, I can contract them now, but how the fuck do the lats work in a deadlift?
Why do I have bicep tendonitis now from my deadlifts?
Right? It's like, what did that do? If you hurt your shoulder on a bench press and they say your lats weren't firing, that's really, if you got someone that's more in depth to really assess that.
Sure, definitely.
Let's just say, let's hope they figured that out. Your lat didn't work for a bench, and therefore you shifted, your elbow flared out, then you tweaked the front of your shoulder really bad, right? So you go ahead and then the microscopic lens of the PT world, it's like you need to do these exercises for your rotator cuff or your lat or whatever. But what's missing is that what we're trying to do is now once you get your lat to fire, just to feel what muscle, like you can contract it, but now you have to train it the way that muscle's going to function for the movement itself. So if you can do a lot of bent over rows, all you're doing is getting better at bent over rows.
Yeah.
That's it. Anytime you do a drill, and Julian at StrongFit says this, he's like, I'm not trying to, when he talks about farmer's carries, he's like, I'm not trying to get you to become a world champion farmer's carry. Like, why the fuck are you doing farmer's carry? What's the intent? The intent for him is turn on the right core muscles and the obliques and things like that. So for us, it's like when you tweak your back at the gym, it's bound to happen. I mean, you might be sitting on all these different variables or factors. Then, like you said, we get them to do oblique openers right away. And then that helps that pain phase, which is letting the erectors, the lower back, the hip flexors kind of relax a little.
Yep.
So they don't feel the pain. And then 2, that buys us a window of time for them to immediately do pistons.
Right.
So now they're firing their obliques and their glute and their hamstring.
On one leg.
And on one leg or the side that's angry. Guarded.
I would love to do it on one leg too, especially when you always tweak your back, but there's always one side that's worse than the other.
And so, like, for the bench example, if you tweak your shoulder, instead of waiting however long to get assessed or to go to PT and all that other shit, we can do it, like you said, during that set. The next set, we'll get them to activate the lat and then try to apply the lat into the bench press, and then that pain might be gone right away.
Right.
And then them doing maybe lighter weights, shorter range of motion, but keeping their lat on, then they get to finish that workout, getting the blood to flow so it doesn't get, like, stay guarded.
Right.
And then that shoulder pain could have got really bad because they just stopped doing anything, went home and went to sleep, or
let the inflammation go.
Sit and watch Netflix for 4 hours, like, that's not helping it. So
that's true.
The big point is the drills that people are doing now are not helping because they're just doing the drills and all they're doing is getting better at the drills.
Yeah.
Even those, like, the big, there's, like, the functional bodybuilding stuff from Marcus Philly, and then all the crossover symmetry, the popularity of that. You're just getting really fucking good at doing face pulls with crossover symmetry bands.
Yeah.
Good, and then you go for a snatch, and none of that it doesn't apply.
There's no intent behind those.
There's no intent. You're just like, I'm training to do a bunch of kipping pull-ups, right? Like, you're working on that skill.
Well, that's a good point.
It just doesn't magically transfer into, like, your strict pull-up.
That's what I could bring up a question that I got messaged the other day when we put it up. Someone I know, buddy of mine, tore his ACL and MCL 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I don't know which knee exactly, but it was like a soccer injury, I remember. No problems with him. He got repaired. He went through standard PT to get, same thing, full range of motion back. Can you walk? Perfect. No problems until recent. Any advice? So I did one step further and messaged him to ask what movements in particular, you know. He said he waited a year to get surgery. I do remember this. They were just really, really lax. So, or it may have been actually torn. He was still able to play soccer on it, from what I remember. He waited a year to get surgery. They stripped the patellar tendon down the middle for the ACL. So sometimes his patellar tendon, front of the knee pain, comes back and it can get sore.
Okay.
But he said deadlifts are the problem, and that his knee will hurt from that. And he said sumos feel better than conventional. So same thing, like the self-assessment is when I deadlift and I'm hyperextending my knee at the top of like a dead, it hurts on a conventional. So if I go wider stance, so it's like what's the solutions in a standard world for this guy is like, I'm gonna go sumo now, split it out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, why does that feel better? It's like, that's what we're here for. We're here to tell you why it feels better.
That's a great question and a great point to bring up, because modifications for your workouts or accessory drills for your workouts, right, shouldn't be to turn a blind eye on the issue.
Yep.
And that's what most people do. It's like, well, if I go narrow grip bench, there's no shoulder pain.
Right.
Perfect. Fuck it. Let's just do that.
Hear that all the
Isn't that
time.
a problem? Like, there's an issue. Like, okay, they're like, conventional hurts my knee and back or hip or whatever it might be, then just go sumo. But nothing was solved, nothing was fixed, and there was no. It's that whole kind of like, you get that short little attention from someone to try to help you, but they're just giving you a quick fix. Like, oh, that hurts. We'll just try that.
Yeah.
See you later. It's like, you're not learning anything, and you're always, like last week's episode, you're always relying on someone when you get hurt.
Right.
And that's our problem. It's like,
Or not. You could just be asking some dude at the gym, like, dude, conventionals kill my knee. Have you tried sumo, dude? Because like,
That's what I did.
Your stature, I bet you would work better. And then you do it, and you go, oh shit, I'm way stronger because my glutes are strong from being a soccer player for this guy way back when. And now he's slamming his outside glutes together to get that thing up. There's less wear and tear or hyperextension happening in that knee. More,
Yep.
Because I think that there is some strain laterally on a sumo pull if you're really, really wide. But you have so much glute protecting that. So that should tell you that your glutes are a lot stronger than your hamstrings.
If it's a torn AC, like, this is what we would do. We don't even know, we haven't assessed this person. Or I haven't. But here's the thought process, right? We're trying to figure out why the conventional hurts and the sumo doesn't. And from the exercise, like the sport history, if you tear something like that, the muscles in that knee, especially the VMO, probably haven't done a damn thing because it was, you're afraid to use the knee. And then you use a lot more VMO in a conventional.
And it was MCL, so the VMO is on the inside of your knee.
And the MCL was, so it's like that VMO is probably shot. The inside quad's not doing a damn thing. And the first thing that happens on a conventional, because you're a little lower, like Eddie Hall talks about, it's like a leg press.
Yep.
So you have to use that inside VMO to push to get that bar off the ground from shin to knee. He doesn't have any of that, so then it probably shifts, compensates with something else, low back, outside quad, hip flexor.
But that's why he's stronger on sumo. Less VMO involvement.
Yeah, because he's already, the knee's already at like that 90 position if you get wide enough. And like you said, you can really get the glute med. You kind of squeeze the butt and just hope for the best. But then there comes
strong legs from soccer and
outside
running.
quad, outside glutes will get the bar up. But still, there's going to be a mechanical issue because he's already has that. This is why something like that is probably the worst advice, wherever he got it from, or how he ever
probably just tested it out.
Or maybe
like,
test it
why
out.
not just try this way?
Because, like you said, he's already got strong legs from maybe outside quads, his outside hammy and glute, so he can even deadlift sumo without any knee pain. But those muscles are already imbalanced.
Yep.
They're already beefy. So now he's going to get stronger on the sumo. Those muscles get stronger, and then that medial hamstring, that VMO, the obliques, whatever is not working that's causing him pain in the conventional is just going to stay weak.
Dude, I would say
it's going to be real bad when he keeps doing sumo.
Yeah, and I would say to test out that VMO and
pistons. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say pistons right away.
Pistons for life.
So
like Cap.
This is my homie Chris. Chris, if you're listening, the number one thing you
do
for
Is he local?
No, he's in my hometown.
That's fine. So tell him to send me a video.
Oh yeah, we can have him. I'll message him.
I can coach his video. That's
That'll
what
be sick.
Doing. Like I posted with Patrick.
Well, because
I did a couple others.
You know what's so interesting about it is that I want him to hear this is that the VMO, to me, I thought was like an overdeveloped muscle. Like I never want to be quad dominant, you know, and especially with his patellar tendon issue, he's probably like, dude, this quad is attaching to that patellar tendon. Like I'm too quad dominant from all the years of hyperextending this knee to kick a ball, right?
Or he
and
could
sprints
have,
and But if you through this coach's eye show them what a piston is, to stand on one leg, hip hinge back, and squeeze your VMO and your glute together. Mm-hmm. And you go, holy crap, that inside of my knee, that VMO, I guarantee you for him is dead. You know, it's just there's nothing I can do to contract it.
And a big muscle doesn't mean it functions properly.
True.
That's what I was saying with the
That's what I'm saying. I was like, I have big,
row.
strong quads. And then it's like, put me on one leg and have me hip hinge back. I cannot fire that right VMO at all. It's like, what?
So you do all the bent over rows you can. Your lats it's big. You can contract it. They're strong. But again, in a bench, in a deadlift, in a
pull up,
it's not working.
No.
So a lot of runners
or in a press
and triathletes that I help, and or even soccer players, sometimes their VMO is really big, but it's because they default, and when they land, their knee collapses in.
Yep.
So the VMO actually absorbs a lot of the weight of the knee diving in, but it's not functioning. It's not, like you said, it's not working with the glute. It's not working with the medial hamstring every time you take a step and then absorb it,
That's why soccer players invented the unhappy triad, man, and football players too. ACL, MCL, medial meniscus. Mm-hmm. That valgus force right into that inside of that knee, there's no VMO holding it, which is crazy because all you do in soccer is sprint, which gives you quad strength, and hyperextend your right knee, which is all quad, but you're missing the inside of your quad, not the outside. And people don't know that, but it's like, think of the name, quadriceps. There's 4 parts to it.
Yeah.
And it's like hamstring is biceps femoris. That means 2. You have 2 of them. So you have an inside and an outside, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like you have to break it down like that, and it sounds crazy, but it's like functionally, if you get on one leg and just squeeze that VMO and glute together and hinge and do some single leg piston kind of squats with it, you're going to go, I can't believe how much this is cramping. You find that deficient muscle and you work on it.
That's where like a lot of big guys or powerlifters, they're like, dude, of course my pecs work. They're huge. I do bench, I do flies, I do this, I do cables. It's like, cool.
Press that weight overhead though.
Yeah, now try to get some of these muscles to fire in the movement you do often, or the movement you're going to go at high intensity, which is like a 1 rep max.
Yeah.
Okay, are they still working under that load? And if it's not, then that's the problem. It's just because the muscle's bigger. You've trained these bodybuilding accessory drills. Doesn't mean it necessarily applies. It just means you got really good at cable flies.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's an aesthetics thing in terms of bodybuilding, that's a whole different world. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about function. So a lot of the shoulder questions that I got, or the from the questions, like, upper trap, impingement, a lot of people just said my whole shoulder's fucked, or like Dang said yes.
DJ said my shoulders are tiny. Right? Is that what he said?
Yeah, that's what DJ said.
That makes sense.
And so it's just like figuring out what movement causes your pain. Some like take home stuff, right? It's like we want you to try it. That's the whole premise of the last podcast, is you have to be a student. You have to want to learn about why.
Yep.
Because it's less scary. Wouldn't you want to go in with some basic knowledge of how your body's working or moving for your sport? So if you tweak your, like I've used Ryan, my buddy Ryan, he's a big dude. He runs a mile before class every day.
Yeah.
And he did that for over a year now. But when he's running, and he tells me all the time, he's like, oh, I started to feel like a hot spot, like his knee started hurting, or his shin splint started to flare. And then all he did was, okay, he didn't freak out, stop on the side of the road and sit there and limp back and get all scared. He's like, okay, something's probably off. So he tells me he fires his oblique, and then he continues running and the pain's gone.
Yeah.
So he knows how to take care of his body. He knows how to keep moving, and he didn't just sit there and freak out. And I think that's rule number 1 should be, when something hurts, you have to figure out where it started from. That's it.
So that's where this my friend Chris has got to figure out. Just being able to figure out how to isolate that one deficient muscle is going to be a hard thing to do from a different city, never coming to a seminar yet or a class yet. So it's like,
but you have to start.
You have to start somewhere, and we can always put them on one leg and look at some video. It'll be great.
And then so for you mentioned with the Brittany podcast, your hip has been bugging you.
Yeah.
So this was on Monday, I believe. You came in, or maybe I don't even remember what day, but I saw you do some. Oh, this was Sunday.
Sunday, yeah.
I saw you do the sandbag squats.
Yep.
And then your hip was still kind of bugging.
Yep.
And then so again, you didn't just say, hey, I'm going to stop working out this week. Hopefully my hip flexor lets go.
It still felt good in my quads and my glutes.
But you still felt the discomfort.
Still felt the hip
so
pinch.
Something still fucked up.
Yep.
So then I think on Wednesday or something when you came in, we had some time to kind of work on that. And then at first we're like, okay, the glute's probably not firing. So you did a couple drills with this sandbag to get the glute to fire. You did. The pain was still there.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the pistons, always going back to like the basics and the fundamentals.
Yep.
And then you finally realized your medial hamstring could not work.
Mm-hmm.
Did not work.
It was
you tried
off.
everything. And then you spent probably 10, 15 minutes on the piston, hitting different angles until you got the medial hamstring to kick on.
Finally, yeah.
And it finally did. And then the hip magically went away, the pain.
Yep.
You know, it's like, it's not that we got it right away, so it's like it's magic. Like
no,
on Sunday, your hip hurts, or even the podcast. Do this, do that, but you had in the back of your mind that there's a problem. You're trying to look for the answers, and it's either one of these three things.
And here we go. Thursday, I show up, and it pinched again. Yeah. And I started doing pistons on both legs because I was like, I'm just going to obsess with these pistons and do 2 sets of 10 a day, one leg at a time. I'm not even doing 2 legs yet.
Yep.
One leg at a time. It's burning. My glutes are super sore. It's day 3 since calcium. And it's like, it still took 2 to 3 sets to get my medial hamstring to turn on.
Yeah.
And the hip pinch was there, but it wasn't as bad. But it's all like, well, we also didn't do a workout with like squats or any kind of hip hinge, like a deadlift. So it's like, it was still there though the next day, and I didn't like beat myself up over it. I was just like, well, let's see, here we go. Day 4 since Sunday, you know?
So this is
trying to work on it.
This is you with FixFit, right? So
right.
One is we're assessing your hip flexor is angry when you squat. So now we're doing the activation drills to see what's not firing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in phase 1 where you're getting your inside hammy, your VMO, your glute to fire, your obliques, right? The second step is now that it fires and then the hip pain is gone, it doesn't end there.
Right.
Because why it keeps coming back, why drills don't normally work is it keeps coming back because now you haven't applied it to the movements you do yet.
Yep.
Have you applied it to the sandbag squats, back squats, front squats,
right.
thrusters? That's going to be,
like you said,
the future.
My upper body was so upright, and I felt it in my legs, but it was a false sense. You were like, you're not hip hinging and sitting back and firing your hamstring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. I could feel my glute. I could feel my quad, my VMO on a sandbag squat. Great. But if I'm not sitting back hip hinging with my upper body, allowing it by, tilting my upper body more forward and sitting back more, like at that...
Like a 45 angle.
For that 45-degree angle sitting back, that's the hip hinge that I couldn't create on Sunday because it's just so blocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took time and it took days. I'm going to do it again tonight. It's like, it's just what it's going to take.
Now you're on that journey of, okay, now it's not scary if it flares up again. You know what to do to fix like you said, the 2 parts at the same time, kind of fix the pain.
Right.
And then 2 is the movement part.
Right. And
so let's take the other route, the traditional route. You've been dealing with this hip flexor pain for a while. Yeah. Then you would just avoid hip movements, which is fucking everything.
I definitely have TFL tendonitis. I'm going to have to take some time.
Yeah, and then you'll go to whoever, and then that person will go, oh, that's, your hip hurts. Okay, let's make sure you rest. Try not to do anything impactful. Don't squat. Don't do this. Don't do this. You wait your, 6 to 8 weeks, the inflammation probably went away. And then you start going to do what you love, whether yoga, hiking, surfing, whatever. And then the pain comes back. And then it comes back worse.
Yep.
Because everything else is weaker if you think about it. So not only did this hip flexor let go, but now you haven't been working out for 8 weeks, so every muscle's weak. And then you go back to the sport you love to play. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I got to get an X-ray or MRI. Then, okay, I'm going to do
I just
PT.
need to know what's going on, dude.
Yeah, label, what is this?
I need to know what's going on.
And then once they label it, whatever you say, some sort of TFL, I don't even know.
I have tight hip flexors.
Yeah, tight hip flexors. Then you get stretches.
My hip flexors are messed up. Oh, here we go. That leads into our next question. I work an office job. Can you recommend 3 stretches to relieve pain from sitting all day?
Yes. So wait, office job, 3 stretches to...
relieve pain from sitting all day.
Yeah, the 3 stretches are not stretches, they're activation drills.
Right.
What's causing your pain is you're stuck in a position where you're sitting, and whether you're sitting or standing, you're still using muscles to hold your body upright.
Yep.
So you're using your erectors, your lower back muscles, your hip flexors, because you're sitting on your ass and your ass muscles aren't working. So your hip flexor, your psoas is overworked. So they're already overworked and they're tight. The traditional mindset is, yes, you should stretch it because you get, like you said, that even if you had all the tools of infrared stuff that some people use and some, you know, you can rub like icy hot and shit like that. It's all temporary relief because that muscle is guarded.
Foam roll it. Feels good.
Use so right.
Yeah, use so right. That's Joe Rogan says it'll take care of 90% of
and
back
again,
problems.
It will for temporary relief. Yeah. But that's why I wouldn't.
It works on the UFC athletes that he's talking to and strongmen. That
I would follow Dan Lau. I repost his stuff all the time because he works in a cubicle.
Yeah,
he's doing pistons all the time. He's doing like hip ups on his break.
Yep.
And so, like, if there were 3 things for, is it lower back or is it
I'm gonna guess low back, upper back.
Lower back.
Oh, because the other question from the same guy was, what are the benefits of swimming on your upper body and muscles? So it's like, if he's wondering why upper body feels better from swimming,
yeah,
it might. I mean, sitting's gonna be bad for both. So I'm guessing he's tight in both reasons.
The thought process and understanding why it works, that's more important to us. You're sitting, so all the wrong muscles are on this. So your psoas, hip flexors, your erectors, your lower back, your upper traps. So to get those things to turn off, instead of stretching or rolling them out, you stand up. You don't even have to do a piston, but you flex the big part of the glute. You fire your obliques. You hinge with those muscles on. You do some pistons, just a few reps, a few holds. Then that gets the erectors, all the bad muscles that's already overused, a little time to just chill. Yeah. That is your like mechanics break.
Yeah.
Those muscles can finally go. You don't have to sit there in front of a computer. Your traps are super tight the whole time, just by standing and flexing.
And that's to go off of that. I get asked this all the time from patients, like, because same thing, like something's tight. A therapist or a trainer has told me before, even a doctor has just been like, you should stretch more, you should do yoga, that kind of shit. So what I explain it as, especially, let's look at a hamstring. Everyone in there that I can think of will say, my hamstring's tight and I stretch them. What you just said was like they're overdeveloped and they're not firing the way that they should.
They might be tight for 2 reasons. One, you overuse it, like your upper traps, so they're kind of beefy. And then the other one is you never use it. Short. The muscle is like this tiny ass rubber band, so it's also tight.
Just like that would be more hamstring like. Both of the cases, when you stretch, you're stretching out like a rubber band. Let's say. You do get some relief after you're done with that, but unless you're doing that only with intent to engage the hamstring later with like a RDL or a squat or a dead, then what's the point? Like, you're just stretching it rubber band over and over and over and over and hoping that it's going to finally relieve your lower back pain. It's like, it's not. You're spinning your wheels. You're the definition of insanity. I'm stretching my hamstring over and over again. Every day I do it, just like I brush my teeth.
And they're still tight.
Why is that? Because you never fired them properly.
You can get a massage every day for your upper trap and neck, and then they're still tight. Wouldn't you want to know why that's happening? Or stop wasting, the time and resources to get nowhere,
Yep. Parker's making his appearance. He's hot.
I'm hot too.
I'm hot too. Oh, I have the best question ever. I should have started with this one. Why is Ian Cook so hot? I'm showing it to you to show that it was a real question. It's a dude, but
it says Ian Cook.
Yeah.
You wrote.
I asked. It is a dude though, so I mean, I have fans of all.
He's hot because he's fat. Next question.
I'm hot because this AC is not on right now.
The other question.
It's August.
The other question was when are we gonna get more swag or apparel or
stuff. Dude,
and then
let's chat after this is over.
I had multiple people message when I reposted that saying like, I want shirts, I want mugs, I want socks.
Dude, oh my god, I just put in an order for some new Cook Cairo polos and I was this close to getting some new Cook Cairo shirts for work, and then I was like, I just gotta wait because I want to do FixFit ones. I want to do the whole thing.
I've assessed a ton of people with FixFit, right? Because it's been, especially within the last year. And I wish, looking back, now moving forward, though, is like if I help someone with golf or back or knee or whatever, that like at the end of it, they would like have some sort of swag to represent, like, you know.
I know I did stickers and like
that would be cool because
the stickers were a hit, man.
They would
for your Hydro Flask.
Want to rock that because a lot of times I just do it like for free because I just want to help someone out, and you know, a lot of them are like, oh, I'll pay you for the session or this or that, and it's like I'm not even there yet or want to go down that route, but it'd be like, well, you can, if you want to really help or give back, buy this t-shirt at cost. I don't even care. So therefore you can help spread the message that you don't have to like be afraid of getting injured.
Yeah.
The big thing the original question was, I think the big issue with people getting hurt in a smaller area, let's say, like if you have an elbow tendonitis or your calf is hurt or something, is that I just want people to know that don't take any time off.
Yeah.
Because they get so scared and they don't want to do anything.
You just let inflammation sit. It's kind of like people that tell me I slept wrong. I always go, well, what did you do the night before? And they go like, oh, I was at the gym, or I sat all day at work and did nothing, or I was at the gym and I did a chest day and I woke up and I slept wrong on my neck. And it's like, you probably used your upper traps the whole time you were benching. Yep. You went to bed without rolling out, using a roll towel. I put a roll towel under my neck the other night and freaking almost fell asleep. I was like, I tell my patients to do this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm my own worst patient. And it's like, I finally do it. It's like, at least I worked on it and gave myself a chance that in the morning I won't be like, oh crap, I can't even get out of bed.
To your credit, you didn't take any breaks and stuff, and that's the goal. Because like, why I get frustrated, going back to like, oh, that's why it'd be cool to give them a t-shirt or a sticker to remind them like you're making progress. True. It's that like people will go like, oh man, my calf is strained or my elbow hurts. But if you take any time off, you're gonna erase or backtrack all the hard work you've done for your pec, your oblique, your teres. You see what I'm saying? Like someone will like go down the journey, they probably fix their back or they fix their shoulder, and then they have a new injury, their knee hurts, and they're like, they get scared all of a sudden again. They forget where they came from, and then they take like whatever a month off.
I took 2 weeks off for vacation, came back, and I'm like, I'm so happy that I sat on the flight, walked all over Europe, and was like, no pain. As soon as I got back into my normal routine of working out, I was like, holy shit, this hip, this trap, like perfect crossover pattern of just you shut these muscles off for 2 whole weeks, and now you're asking your body to do the old things that you were doing, and you can't. And it's like I didn't beat myself up over it and go like, oh crap, you know.
Maybe that's important too, is that like some issues you're gonna be able to get to the answers quicker.
Right.
Like, oh man, I have a migraine, and you do a teres flex or teres carry and it goes away.
Right.
And then sometimes there's people that like have issues that we've had trouble figuring out the cause and the effect, and it takes weeks, months, years. You have to be okay with that as well, because the goal is still to figure it out.
Yep.
If you don't quit, then you're still working towards it. You're gonna have hiccups, but some things like plantar or elbow pain or you know whatever, it might, like low back pain, and you do some oblique openers and sandbag squats and it goes away. That might happen immediately. Sometimes that low back pain might be there for a while, even though you try other things.
Yep.
So you have to be okay with, just because you fixed your knee with FixFit, you fix your own trap, it took a day, a couple sessions, a month, great. But then all of a sudden your Achilles tendonitis is not going away. That's okay too.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up about it.
Because what happens is they'll then quit, and then what I've seen is they're like, I'm just done. I'm gonna take a break from the gym for like 3 months, and I'm like, you're gonna erase everything, and then you're gonna start to see those old symptoms come up again.
Not to mention get out of shape.
Out of shape, and then now your trap pain comes back.
Out of cardio shape. Yeah.
Now your knee pain comes back just because you're afraid of your Achilles tendonitis.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know what.
Well, we'll take it to another one. I just.
And I feel like they get led astray because then they'll take that out in the microscope again. Oh, your Achilles, your plantar is so bad, don't do anything.
Right.
It's like fuck.
I talked to a guy today that was like, I was like, oh, you're not coming in with injury. That's good. You know, like it's nice to talk to somebody about like, let's just talk lifting and how Chiro and this FixFit model is going to be a part of your lifting now. Yeah, it's another
performance,
couple tools, and I'll slowly start showing you some FixFit stuff for your performance. And he's like, oh, well, I did start Chiro like a year ago because I tweaked my back on a deadlift. I just never went back to it. And it's like, do you want to go back to it? And he's like, oh, hell no. I'm like, well, why not? Because I'm like, deadlifting is awesome, man. It's fun. It feels good after. And he's like, I know. It used to feel really good. And he's like, and I strained it when I wore a belt.
Very common.
Like for the first time, he's like, I'm going for a PR. I'm going to put on a belt. Then he strained his back. And it's like, I was like, dude, that is very common. I hear it all the time. It gave you a false sense of security, went too hard, overloaded that spine. I was like, do not rule it out, though. And I was like, you're too young. You're in good shape. We're going to get it. We got to get you deadlifting again.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring him to Sunday.
Should.
A couple weeks. Deadlifting's the best, dude. People need to do it more. Just like my buddy Chris, like, at least he's sumoing. At least he's doing it still.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that one feels good on my knee. Let's just keep slamming these glutes, man. It's awesome.
The powerlifting is a pretty good sport to take up if you want long term.
The way he said it too is like, instead of powerlifting being like those big three that you focus on, just compound lifts.
Just lifting,
right? Just compound lifts of like big movement, squat, bench, dead.
Because I love the
clean
big lifts, but then you'll see you're done really. Like there's no 40, 50-year-old professional lifters at Olympic lifting or any impactful sport like basketball, football. But like you'll see in the nationals or worlds of like powerlifting, and there's people in their 80s, 90s. Deadlifting, back squatting, bench at 3. So if you just look at how big of a pool there still is doing those lifts, then obviously these are the movements that you can do for the longest time.
Is the perfect full body work exercise, and people are so scared of it because they're scared of hurting their back. And I think it's such an easy lift. We've gone over a whole episode on that before, on low back pain. Just like grip and rip, dude. You should be good if you have the right muscles on.
I know. I have an idea why the deadlift is so it's labeled as like the dangerous lift, because people started doing more deadlifts for whatever reason, powerlifting, CrossFit, who knows, and then all the practitioners would see more and more cases, right? You're like, because
stay away from it.
Stay away from it because obviously this is bad. I got, just recently, whatever, this month I got 10 cases of people hurting their back really bad with the deadlift. So they just label it as bad. So then the second wave happens where people like the PTs or whoever comes in and goes, well, no, you're just doing it wrong. Here's a better way to tighten up your back. Arch harder,
joint
chest
cues,
up, abs on, pull back with your lats more.
Yeah. And they'll be like, I work on my technique all the time. I'm like, but the technique doesn't mean shit if you're deficient in some muscles.
And the case in point is we were really following mobility while Kelly started, and we started deadlifting like the physical therapy way, hip external rotation, because you get more glute activation, right? And then shoulder external rotation to get more lats. But then you're so overextended, and you're not really, you might get away with lifting a little bit of weight, but we would still hurt our back on something heavy.
Yeah.
So again, it's like that's the history of why it's getting more and more fucked up. Because then now you're getting stronger, getting away with using the wrong mechanics, and then you blow out your back. And then the super strong athletes, the power lifters, the strongman athletes that are deadlifting 700 plus or whatever, they just don't know how to articulate the way to actually fucking do it.
Right. So
there's the 3 levels of why it's fucked up. And even to this day, people just go with the powerlifter strongman description, saying, a rounded upper back's okay. Now everyone agrees with that. First PT's like, no, you have to pinch your shoulder blades back and down. So now the rounded upper body deadlift is okay, but the lower back can't be rounded. I'm like, this is still archaic because, like, what does it mean to round your upper body? Because you can fucking seriously go, like, scared cat rounded upper body. Is that good? And so it's like we're still getting out of the weeds.
People are walking in with rounded upper backs before, so that the right muscles still aren't on.
So that's where you and I were fighting against the fucking timeline and then the like post-traumatic stress of the deadlift era, where it's like
in CrossFit,
doctors say don't deadlift,
don't
PTs and keyboard warriors telling you how to do it mechanically sound, doctors and whatever. And then the third phase is that you're trying to copy what the pros are doing, but they don't know how to articulate the mechanics, I guess.
I think the same thing with CrossFit. They'll just be like, I stay away from those because it's too many repetitive movements. It's like too many repetitive movements of bad movement on your part. They don't have to be that way. And it's not a technique thing. It's not a mobility thing. It's like literally just an intent thing.
Yeah.
You have to have the right intention behind every single exercise you do. Just ask why with anything. Just ask why.
That's a good way to close it out. It's like you have an injury. If you're going to incorporate or try or implement, it's probably the best word, something to fix your injury, ask why this helps.
Yep.
Like, but don't just go because I saw this and It's like if you strained your upper trap, if you look on, guarantee if you go upper trap injury or tightness, they're gonna have some sort of lacrosse ball in your upper back. Mm-hmm. So you go, okay, well, how does this fix that? Upper back, the trap will get released. So what? How did it fix it from happening in the first place? And again, how's this lacrosse ball digging in my trap gonna fix the next time I bench, handstand, push up? You have to ask the question.
You can message us. Message us anytime, like these people did. It was great.
Yeah,
I wanted more.
People are starting to message more and send more videos, and again, that's what we're here for.
Exactly. Send more and more.
We're still figuring it out too, so it's not like but it's just that we're, I think, further in the timeline.
Yeah.
That's all. Just trying to stay ahead of the game a little bit.
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day.
Have Monday off. Come work out. What time is your Sunday thing?
This weekend will be 8:30, but
8:30. All you shoulder impingement people that message Mark.
Maybe we should drop this on tomorrow.
Yeah. Monday the Sunday before Labor Day.
Yeah.
8:30.
So we'll hopefully
with you for shoulder impingement.
We'll drop
CrossFit
this.
Sun.
We'll drop this.
We'll drop
Saturday.
All right. Oh, the flex at the end this time?
It's so hot.